Long before airplanes and interstates, it was these old rails that carried people across the country. And then shortly after that, you had old roads like the Route 66. Welcome back to Relic Roads. I'm Rich, and today we're visiting the last holdout on Mother Road.
Well, we're getting to the end of the old dirt road that made up Route 66. And right here's where the pavement starts. This is the stretch that headed right into Williams, Arizona. It was one of the very first sections of Route 66 to actually be paved. Let's head on into town.
There are a lot of red dirt roads like this all around here. Looks really cool. We're driving underneath one of these gateway arches right now. They've got 3 of these, giving you easy access into town. We're currently at an elevation of almost 6,800 feet, right in the heart of the largest contiguous ponderosa pine forest in the world. We're on the original Route 66 now that goes right through the heart of the town here. You can see a lot of these buildings look like the original buildings from 100 years ago or so. This town has a pretty old history that dates back to both the railroad and Route 66. This community has done a really good job of preserving its history. As the interstate system was being developed in this part of the country, many small towns, just like this one, were being bypassed with Interstate 40. We're right here on the old Route 66, right in the middle of town. This is the route that many travelers would have taken for decades coming through here. When this town was planned to be bypassed, they didn't take it sitting down. They went to court and tried to fight it as much as they could. Ultimately, the interstate opened in 1984 after finally coming to terms with Williams, Arizona. And those terms were that they got 3 separate entrances, one from the east, one from the west, and one from right in the middle of town, giving travelers, over-the-road haulers, as well as locals, nice, easy access on and off the interstate and into town. They didn't want to end up like one of the countless places, towns, service centers, and attractions that got completely wiped off the map when the interstate passed them over. What this town negotiated for really gave them a lifeline, but they knew that they needed more of an attraction than that, and they had something to work with. So to do so, they looked into their own past. The Grand Canyon Railway opened in 1901, giving passengers a nice luxurious ride to the Grand Canyon, replacing the grueling 8-hour stagecoach ride. The trips to the Grand Canyon eventually stopped in the 1960s when the American Road Trip and Route 66, other state routes, ultimately replaced it. But this town brought it back in 1989. We're out near the train yard now, and the Grand Canyon Railway is expected to come by here soon.
We're out here waiting for the train to come in, and you've just got tons of really old, thick glass bottles that just look as old as dirt. Tons of old pieces of metal from the railroad history. I heard the train. Let's go look for it.
Lots of remnants of the old past out here in this lot. Looks like they've got a group of passengers headed up to the Grand Canyon right now. It's currently off season, so I'm not sure how full that train is. But I believe they make this trip year round. They may do some other trips on this Grand Canyon Railway. The Santa Fe Railroad also runs right along here. It was right by where we were walking just a moment ago. And it runs trains with traditional freight and things like that. If you know any more about the Grand Canyon Railway or about the history of the town, let us know in the comments. We're out here on the other side of town near Perkinsville Road, which was an old supply route from the rail yard down into old mining towns like Jerome and old ranching areas like the Verde Valley. That's really the kind of activity that was going on here before the Grand Canyon Railway opened up. Back in those days, the engines were big, giant steam engines. And they needed regular water supply. So that's why the railroad built this. In 1887, the Santa Fe Reservoir. I think it was originally a little bit smaller than this, and over the next few years in the 1890s, they added on to it, making it a little bit taller and a little bit wider. It's just right on the end of town here, and it's just beautiful out here this morning. Let's go take a look at the dam itself. I can only imagine what this thing looks like when the water is spilling over. I mean, it's just topped off right now. Almost looks like it's going to spill over right in front of me. This town has some really nice neighborhoods. Very friendly people. And a strong community. They've done a great job preserving their history and giving people a reason to come visit them here, which they're very welcoming towards too. The trains are still running, and you get the feeling that this is just the kind of place that's going to be here forever. I'm Rich, and this is Relic Roads. Join me back here for next week's episode when we're heading back down into the desert to visit a living ghost town along the Copper Corridor.